This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WMDX Daily News Roundup for Mad Radio 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. We have an update on the Madison Coyotes. First, the UW Canid Project has been trying to trap that one that seems to be sick. It's been spotted around Odana Hills Golf Course. They want to take it to the Wildlife Center to get it some help. They've had live traps out for about a week, but the coyote hasn't entered them. However, nobody has reported sightings of that one in about a week either. Meanwhile, another was spotted on a playground. It happened on Friday. The coyote was wandering around the Franklin Elementary School playground. That's on the west side, but on the opposite side of the UW Arboretum of all the other sightings that were more in the Nakoma neighborhood. All kids were inside at the time. Staff called police dispatch, but eventually the coyote just left on its own. Overall, volunteers from the Canid Project say they're getting fewer reported sightings, but still higher than average. If you see a healthy coyote, you're encouraged to haze it. Wave your arms, be loud. They do not want coyotes feeling comfortable around people in broad daylight. In the drama on Madison's Common Council, now Alder Charles Miadzi says he plans to finish out his term. This is kind of a long story, so bear with me here. Miadzi has been under scrutiny from his peers on the council. Harassment allegations surfaced last April, prompting alders to pass a new resolution on harassment and assault. It also set up a process to investigate allegations if they come up. Then over the summer, complaints were filed under that new rule. After that, more women, including a former deputy mayor, accused Miadzi of domestic abuse. An outside law firm investigated and found the women accusing him to be credible, but not enough evidence to prove he violated federal or state laws. Then a group of 14 alders and the mayor introduced a resolution to censure him. That's basically a symbolic vote saying they don't approve of his conduct. Well, now we're hearing from Miadzi. He just gave an interview to News 3 saying he intends to finish out his term. And UW-Madison has jumped up in the research rankings. For years, it was number 8 on the list of universities that spent the most on research. But now it's number 6. That's because it has $1.7 billion in research expenditures. About half of that came from federal grants and awards. That's a record for the university. State officials say courts have judge and attorney shortages. Joanne Krulatz reports.
Wisconsin's court system faces a case backlog and attorney shortage. State Supreme Court Chief Justice Annette Ziegler raised both issues during her State of the Judiciary address. Ziegler said some counties have actually increased their backlog. The felony backlog currently stands at about 12,000 cases, which is a slight increase from where the courts were this time last year. Ziegler said a pool of reserve judges is helping address the backlog, but a shortage of attorneys contributes to that problem, particularly in rural counties. A 2021 state bar report found 7 counties with no attorneys. Ziegler said access to justice is seriously compromised when members of the public who are exercising their constitutional right to be represented by counsel with an attorney cannot obtain one.
And the NFL and the NBA are warning their players, make sure your house is secure. And now the list of victims includes somebody on the Bucs roster. Here's Stuart J. Waddles.
The burglary of a Bucs star's home could be connected to other break-ins at other athletes' estates. A string of home burglaries targeting professional athletes has caught the attention of investigators who are now exploring potential connections between the incidents. The latest victim, Milwaukee Bucks forward Bobby Portis, had his River Hills home burglarized earlier this month, with authorities noting similarities to break-ins at the residences of NFL stars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. The investigation also includes a September burglary at Minnesota Timberwolves player Mike Conley's home. It suggested that there's a possible trend in high-profile athlete home invasions.
The NBA memo says the FBI believes these may be burglary tourists, people who come into the country on legal visas for 90 days, commit some thefts, and go home. Hilldale Shopping Center is in the middle of a huge expansion. It's in that space where the old movie theater used to be. They're adding a Sephora, a Warby Parker, a Sweet Green, and a store called Jackson Gray from Minneapolis. Warby Parker opens first. That's this Saturday. They make prescription glasses and frames. They'll be closing their State Street location to move over to Hilldale. The other 3 will open their doors sometime next year. And how does Wisconsin stack up as a place to retire? Lisa Hale has the answer.
U.S. News & World Report released its list for the 150 best places to retire in the United States. Green Bay tops the list of Wisconsin cities, coming in at 11th in the nation, up from 16th last year. Other Wisconsin cities that made the grade are Madison at 37th and Milwaukee at 123rd, down from 64th last year. The organization looked at the happiness of local residents, housing affordability, tax rates, and healthcare quality.
Madison has lots of social opportunities, access to nature, and great healthcare options, all counting in its favor. This is 92.7 WMDX News.
Wisconsin goes up in the rankings. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball, the Badgers have 2 home games coming up this Saturday at noon against Chicago State. And then next week, Tuesday night, they take on Michigan. The Badgers now rank 15th in the nation after winning the Greenbrier tournament in Orlando over the weekend. The Marquette Golden Eagles learn that they're now number 10th ranked in the nation. They'll host Stonehill tomorrow night in Milwaukee. The tip-off time, 8 o'clock. NBA, the Bucks in Miami tonight against the Heat. The Bucks have won 4 in a row. NFL, Packers holding practice for their game on Thanksgiving this Thursday night against the Miami Dolphins. Kickoff at 7:20, TV coverage on NBC. And then Friday at 11 a.m., more football. It's the Badgers against the Minnesota Gophers at Camp Randall Stadium.
Rivalry games, you throw records out the window. You throw sometimes even the home field advantage out the window. It comes down to who wants it more. And anybody that can't get up for that doesn't belong in either one of these places.
That's Badgers head football coach Luke Fickell. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. As loved as Marvel films are by fans, there is no shortage of people who love to take a shot at the studio. Add Frances Hannon to the list. The Oscar-winning makeup and hair designer for Wicked was tasked with making Cynthia Erivo's character, Elphaba, green. Another Oscar nomination for Hannon, no doubt. Hannon praised director John Chu for using practical and tangible sets as opposed to Marvel films, which are all green screen and CGI. Not sure she'll be hired by Marvel again, but not sure she cares. Henry Winkler's daughter was almost famous. Zoe Winkler recently recalled on her What's in the Winkler podcast that she almost did a reality TV show with a pre-fame Kim Kardashian years ago. Zoe Winkler, who is now a teacher, was in the running to be the Bachelorette until the Fonz said, "Hey, no way." It's been a long road for the live-action version of Snow White, but there is now a release date in sight. The Disney flick has been in development since 2016 and was supposed to be released in 2024. Greta Gerwig wrote the script for the film, which stars Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Snow White will hit theaters March 21st of 2025. Hollywood is full of crazy stories, and actor Josh Brolin has a doozy he shared in his new memoir, From Under the Truck. Brolin tells the story of when he met acting legend Marlon Brando. Brolin attended a dinner at his stepmother Barbara Streisand's house, along with John Travolta and Kelly Preston. Brolin recalled that Brando showed up with a bleeding leg because he stopped to pull someone from a mudslide on the way to the party. Travolta, a well-known Scientologist, noticed and told Brando he had just gotten to the next level as a Scientologist and said he could heal him. Brolin recalled watching Danny Zuko heal The Godfather, one of the most surreal of his life. It was surreal just reading that. Wicked Weekend's box office haul turned out to be no match for that of Barbenheimer's, but it was still impressive and helped the holiday box office get off to a great start. As expected, Wicked landed in the top spot with a take of $114 million, more than doubling Gladiator 2's haul of $56 million at the gate. Gladiator 2, directed by Ridley Scott and starring Paul Mescal, Connie Nielsen, Denzel Washington, and Pedro Pascal, was never expected to be the top dog, as it was always Oppenheimer to Wicked's Barbie. Wicked slightly exceeded expectations with its box office haul, whereas Gladiator 2 came in just under its expectations. This is becoming a trend in Hollywood where two films coming out at the same time were not necessarily competing against each other, but help each other create a social media phenomenon. Landing in third place in week 2 of its release was Red One with $13 million. Rounding out the top 5 were Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Spy, Assassin, and the resilient Venom, The Last Dance, which came in 5th place with $4 million. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We have some pretty good travel weather coming our way for the upcoming holiday weekend, but take a jacket because it is going to be cold. Today will be mostly sunny with a high of 36, tonight down to 25. Tomorrow, some light snow showers, 38. Then on Thanksgiving Day, partly to mostly cloudy with a high in the low 30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 22.
That's your WMDX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at mad.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.